And it is time for a chat with Pat.
Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about if you've ever listened to The Virtuous Life, my show on Annunciation and Ave Maria, you've heard me do series on St. Augustine's sermons. They're amazing. These are sermons that apply to us today. And I came across in one of my meditation books on St. Augustine, a part of his sermon 113. They're numbered. His sermons are numbered. And it's an amazing piece. And I want to share it with you because we are in the year of hope, right? The Jubilee of Hope. So I'm going to read it to you and then just talk a little bit with you about it. Here it is. The world now is like an oil press, and we all feel its pressure. If you are dregs, you run off down the drain. If you are the good oil, you remain in the vat. Pressure is applied by famine, war, poverty, need, epidemics, robbery, greed, and unrest in the cities. Some people grumble, "Look, what great evils there are in these Christian times." That's the dregs collapsing under the pressure of the times. But now hear the voice of those who, like good oil, have been purified and strengthened by the pressure. They cry out, "O God, blessed be your name. You foretold that these bad times would come, and you promised that good times are to come. Train us well through the pressure of these bad times, so that we may receive the heavenly inheritance you have promised." Oh my! Do you realize this is why so often we think that we are in a time like no other time? Nobody has lived in anything this awful. And we spend so much time talking about what is awful. Now, yes, we have to be aware of evil in the world, but how do you combat that evil? I love Augustine. Did you listen closely? Famine, war, poverty, need, epidemics, robbery, greed, unrest in the cities. This could be a headline today out of our newspapers. And he says, what happens? I love that he uses this idea of the wine press, right? Or the oil, the olive oil press. Not the wine press, but the olive oil. Because we don't really know. We just go to the store and buy a thing of olive oil. We have no idea how it's made. But he talks about pressure. It is press, the olive press. And then the dregs kind of run off into the drain, and that wonderful oil is kept in the vat, right? So he says the people that just complain, "Oh my gosh, everything's awful, there's so many evils, this is terrible." He said they're like the dregs. They're going down the drain. They have nothing to offer us. But those who hear the voice of the Lord, they're like the good oil. They have been strengthened under this pressure. They haven't given up. They haven't said, "Oh, this is terrible. What can we do?" They're thinking, they're staying close to the Lord and finding ways to bring the Lord into every situation. And so it's through this pressure of the bad times that we receive the inheritance that's been promised to us, as Augustine says. Each of us feel pressure in our lives. But when we turn to the Lord, we become a sign of hope and hope for others. And that's why I am always looking for the light. Yes, I know there's evil out there. I try to identify it, stay away from it, but I don't want to dwell on it. I don't want it to pull me into it. I want Christ's light to shine into my heart, my mind, my soul, and shine that light out as hope, even in these times of pressure. I pray that for each of you, you will do the same thing. Christ is the one who brings us great peace, great love. And he doesn't promise the inheritance of this world. He promises the inheritance of the next world. So we want to pray along with Augustine today. We want to know that even in the midst of disruption in our lives that tries to take away our peace, we know that any kind of pressure and disruption will bring us to peace if we turn to God. We can always find peace in the midst of it. So don't let the pressure of these times get the best of you. Suicide rates are up, things like that. Why? Right? We have the good news, and we're called to share it. And Augustine did a mighty job of that, sharing the good news. He never turned his back on sin. He never said there wasn't such a thing as sin. He recognized sin. He recognized evil. He recognized problems. But he knew who the hope was in the midst of all of this. So during this year, in the Jubilee of Pilgrims of Hope, know that, yes, we are pilgrims, and we may be under pressure during bad times, but know that, like Augustine, we have received the heavenly inheritance that's been promised to us if we turn to the Lord. So I want to kind of touch, as we kind of wrap this up, I want you to look at, you can't look at it, but I want to read to you a little reflection on this piece of St. Augustine's sermon by Donald Bert. Let me read it. I think it has a lot to say here. Augustine was also an optimist in that he believed that difficult times could strengthen us as we wait for the bliss of heaven. But his experience of war, terrorism, and revolution made him a realist. His faith gave him his optimism, which allowed him to view the pressure of chaotic times as a catalyst for spiritual perfection. The disruption of his daily life made him look forward even more strongly to the peace promised to those who do not give up on God in the midst of the pressure of their times. Isn't that beautiful? And I would say he wasn't an optimist. I think, I don't think, I know. He was a man who had the theological virtue of hope, and that's different than optimism. The theological virtue of hope means it's my belief in something good is based on something, and that is Jesus Christ. Sometimes optimism can just be based on a feeling. No, our hope is Jesus Christ. So I think this idea that we get from Augustine is so important for us today. And part of our issue is, especially in our life and times, so many of us live a life of convenience. We have what we need. Maybe we never experience violence in our lives or war because we are, here we are in the United States. War is always somewhere over there. So the idea, I think, is we get comfortable. We have all this convenience, and when life gets difficult, we don't know what to do with it. We just don't know. Here's what you do. You turn to the Lord. You turn to His Word. You pray. You stay close. And know that He is always there, even when you don't believe it.
Absolutely. What a great lesson. Man. I love to chat with Pat with her guests, but I love it when she chats too.
As we said before, our favorite guest of Pat is Pat. and look, our listeners get an opportunity to hear that. We get an opportunity just to sit around and talk with her from time to time. You can't imagine what a blessing that is. Mm-hmm.